Well, it's time to check out another episode of CHiPs, and it's October, it's almost Halloween. However, the episode that we're looking at today actually came out in April, and it's not a Halloween episode at all. But I think this has got to be one of the weirdest and creepiest episode of CHiPs that was ever made. It's also probably one of the funniest, even though I don't think it was supposed to be funny. This episode also features Elvira, Rich Little, and a very young Kelly Preston. So sit back and relax, because today we're checking out filming locations for CHiPs Season 6, Episode 21, Things That Go Creep in the Night. Let's go see what we can find. The episode begins with an overhead shot of Ponch and Bruce getting onto the 10 East Freeway, and that's when we get some very important dialogue.
What a day, Ponch! Why aren't we at the beach?
That's where we're headed, partner. We lucked out and drew Malibu for the rest of the week.
All right, sand, surf, and beautiful girls.
All right. I gotta wonder this though. Why are they going east on the 10, heading in the opposite direction of the beach? Of course, we then get an overhead shot of Ponch and Bruce cruising down PCH, letting us know that they're now in Malibu. So after we find out that Ponch and Bruce are going to be stuck in Malibu all week, we then see a very young Kelly Preston running up the sidewalk, and she's coming up Napoleon Street away from Vista Del Mar. We just don't know what she's running away from. This poor lady is totally freaked out. Oh, never mind. She's fine now. Got her arm comfortably hanging out the window. Plus, she turned into a dude. Look at how nice and neat all the cars are parked. Plus, none of them have drivers anymore. And of course, it wouldn't be an accident on CHiPs without a car flying through the air. Hey, wait a minute. Didn't I already see this truck somewhere? Yep, right there. Luckily, Ponch and Bruce weren't too far away, and they head over to the scene of the accident. Now, a lot has changed right here in this area, so it's hard to tell the exact spot of where the accident took place, but it was somewhere right here in this area. And Ponch goes over and picks up Anna and carries her to safety. He would have carried her right over there into that field. So the accident would have happened right out there. And then Ponch picks up Anna and he carries her to safety. And he's got her laying on the ground somewhere right over here. And notice this? You can see this as Bruce walks away. This is Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital. And this is where they bring Anna. Now, a lot of stuff has changed here over the years, and it's kind of hard to get the exact same shot that we see in the show, but this is the place. And for some reason, while Anna's inside trying to recover, Ponch is tormenting her.
You had this in your hand when we found you. You all right?
Okay. He was actually showing her a page from the Sea Thing comic book that she had on her when they found her. And when she sees it, it causes her to have flashbacks of herself running down the beach. But why is she seeing herself running down the beach instead of seeing what was chasing her? Anyways, the beach that she's running down is Westward Beach near Point Dume. So Hot Dog's going door to door, checking with all the neighbors to see if any of them know anything about the girl that caused the accident. And as you can see, he's working hard. Now, after he declines the girl's offer to jump in the hot tub, he comes walking out of the front of the house, and it was actually this house right here behind me. And amazingly, not much has changed on this house since they filmed that episode. You gotta kind of wonder if that same hot tub is still there on the other side of this wall. So he's standing right here in front of the house and he looks across the street and he sees a car parked right here, and it looks like somebody might be hot wiring that car. And as he goes to approach the car, it takes off and the chase is on. They're now coming up Malibu Road. They then make a right turn onto PCH and they head south down Pacific Coast Highway. Hot Dog continues to chase the car down Pacific Coast Highway, and you can see a mailbox with the address 26054, which is no longer here, but that utility pole is. We then see Bruce and Ponch coming in the opposite direction on PCH, passing right by this wall. The stolen car and Bobby then make a left and head up this street, and Bruce and Ponch quickly follow behind. So they're following the car up the hill, and I gotta point out that this station wagon has been in almost every episode of Chips that I've covered so far. It's already been in this episode twice. Anyways, the stolen car swerves to avoid oncoming traffic and ends up crashing right over here in this turnoff. While shaking down the guy that stole the car, a wallet comes falling out of his jacket, and inside the wallet is a driver's license for Anna. When Ponch asks where he stole the car from, Bobby tells him it was parked near the house of Stanley Woods, the creator of the Sea Thing comic book. So Ponch and Bruce go to pay a visit to Stanley Woods, who lives inside of an actual castle. And believe it or not, this castle actually sat on top of a hill in Malibu overlooking Pacific Coast Highway. Unfortunately, a massive fire burned the castle down to the ground, and the house that sits there now, well, it just looks like a regular rich person's house. Probably doesn't have any hidden rooms or anything. Now, I wanted to point out that Stanley Woods lives in a castle, he's a magician, has hidden rooms in the castle, and has an oversized, extremely creepy ventriloquist doll. But again, this isn't a Halloween episode. Ponch and Bruce head over to a comic book shop that's run by Elvira to talk to her and see if she knows anything about the Sea Thing comic book. I think writers just saw this as a good excuse to have Elvira make her second appearance on the show. Again, I just want to point out, comic book shop run by Elvira, who has a pet tarantula, but again, not a Halloween episode. So we see Anna and Linehan walking on the beach, walking away from Linehan's house, which was this house right here. And you can see it's changed a lot since they filmed that episode. They've added a second story. They've remodeled pretty much the entire house. Some things still match up, like that staircase right there. But as they walk along the beach, the camera turns, and when it does, you can see the pier right here. That still matches up. Now, as they're standing on the beach talking, Linehan gets a phone call, and she runs inside to answer it, and it's Ponch. But Ponch puts her on hold because somebody's at the door. Meanwhile, Anna's standing out here on the beach all by herself, and that's when we see the sea thing or sea creature coming out of the water right over here, walking away from the pier. So now Anna's out here on the beach struggling with the sea thing, and meanwhile, Linehan's inside on hold waiting for Ponch to come back. But then Ponch comes to the front door, and that's when Linehan realizes something's not right here. So they go running out onto the beach, and they see the sea thing carrying Anna out into the water, and Ponch takes off to rescue her. So now Ponch is fighting with the sea thing, and Bruce and Bobby are just standing there on the sand watching. I mean, not even thinking to maybe jump in and help out a little bit. Great partner you got there, good friends. So thanks to Bruce and Bobby, the sea thing gets free and swims off into the night, and they stand there on the beach trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So it turns out what's been chasing after Anna is actually the sea thing. But again, not a Halloween episode. While on their way to the comic book shop to talk to Elvira, we see Ponch and Bruce riding down Doolittle Drive towards Manhattan Beach Boulevard in the city of Redondo Beach. This is the Los Angeles Coroner's Office, and it's inside of this building, supposedly, where the creepiest thing in this episode takes place, probably the creepiest thing in any episode of Chips ever. So Anna now believes that her mom is still alive, and she somehow convinces the California Highway Patrol to dig up her mom's body so they can check. But for some reason, instead of digging it up at the gravesite and checking, they bring it to the coroner's office. So they open up the coffin, and sure enough, it's Anna's mom inside. But the camera cuts away, and then when it cuts back, it's, oh my gosh, what the heck? And why is Anna the only one to freak out about that?
Calm down, folks. It's just painted porcelain.
While hanging out at Linehan's house, Anna gets a phone call from someone claiming to be her mom, and she says that she needs Anna to sneak out and meet her right away, which of course Anna does. So Anna comes running up to the road from the beach, and you can see this house right behind her, and almost nothing has changed on this house except for the color. Keep in mind, however, that this is at least a few miles away from Linehan's house, and it's in the opposite direction from where Anna was just coming from. But anyways, she gets up here to the road, and she looks up this way, and she sees a car that she believes has her mother in it. So she goes running up to the car, and she sees someone inside that appears to be a woman. So she gets in. But then... Wait, what? Just open the door and get out. I don't understand. So it turns out Anna was right. Her mom is still alive. Woods has been keeping her in a secret room at his castle. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention earlier in the episode when Ponch comes to the castle, we see that there's a painting where the eyes can be removed, and Anna's mom is looking at everybody through the eyes of that painting. So right now she's staring at Ponch, but for some reason she's not screaming for help. Okay, so they go to the castle to confront Woods, and he confesses to everything. But when Ponch goes to place him under arrest, oh, tricky, tricky. They run outside just in time to see the hearse pulling away with Anna in the passenger seat. The hearse comes whipping around this corner, and this is actually the same exact spot where Hot Dog saw the car being stolen earlier in the episode. Now this next location is kind of tricky and it was pretty hard to find, but right here is where the hearse is coming down the street, and then a few moments later the CHP is following behind, and we see all of them pass by all of these houses, most of which look a lot different, but this one right here still looks pretty similar to how it did on the show. Notice that garage that sticks out from the front of the house? And then if we continue up this path just a little bit, I'm going to show you where they all come around the corner. Now, when they round the corner, you can see a street sign for Waterview Street, which is this street right here that I was just showing you. And right here is where they all come around the corner. So this utility pole right here is the same one that you see in the show. And then as the camera pans a little bit more to the left, you can see this house, which had an old truck parked in front of it. And you can also see this house and this house. Now here's what makes this location kind of tricky. The street that they're turning onto doesn't exist anymore. It basically was right where I'm standing, and they would have been turning into this field. And when the camera's shooting in the other direction, you can actually see some open gates behind them, and that's because they were turning into this field. Now, way back in the day, this field was a neighborhood, but everybody started moving out because it's right underneath the flight path for LAX. And then eventually they bought out all the houses, tore them all down, and it's now just a big field. But it still has all of the streets in there, and that's where they're driving in the next part of this scene. So like I said, they're now driving around inside of this field. Unfortunately, the entire thing's gated off. There's no trespassing signs everywhere. There's cameras everywhere. But as they're driving through here, the hearse causes a truck to turn and block the road, and he figures, well, I'm definitely getting away now. But he has underestimated the California Highway Patrol, and he doesn't realize that they'll stop at nothing, and they end up jumping their motorcycles over the truck, and that took place right over here. Unfortunately, we can't really see it from here, but we can use Google Earth to get a little bit of a better view. And I was just noticing as I stand here, there's actually a giant hole in the fence right there next to that no trespassing sign. But unfortunately, I'm not too adventurous these days, so I won't be going through that hole. So it was right over there where they jump over the truck. It's so frustrating to know that it's just right there on the other side of this gate, but I can't walk over there. Now, the way that we know that this is the right spot is when they jump over the truck, you can see a house in the background, and it's that house right there behind me. Luckily, it hasn't changed too much in the last 30 plus years. They then turn onto Malibu Road from Pacific Coast Highway, and they actually pass right by the spot where he just kidnapped Anna a few moments earlier. So they're now chasing the hearse through Westward Beach, nowhere near where they just were on Malibu Road. Woods loses control of the hearse and ends up flipping over onto the sand. And notice that pipe sticking out? Right here is the very spot where the hearse flips over. And you can also see a wooden structure on the side of the mountain. There it is, right there. And then when Ponch comes running out onto the beach, we get a wide shot and you can see a drainage pipe coming down the mountain. Now that's no longer there. However, it's that same drainage pipe that empties out onto the sand. And again, that's still there. So Woods runs out here onto the sand and Ponch chases after him, and Woods ends up slipping in some dry fabric that kind of looks like seaweed. But anyways, Ponch grabs him, and that's the end of Woods. Anna and her mom are now safe. And they celebrate this by throwing Anna and her mom a party at the highway patrol station. Luckily, they don't have anything more important to do. I wonder if they do this for everybody that they help. Right about then, Grossman walks in, and the episode ends with everybody lovingly telling Grossman that he might have put on a little bit of weight.
He can be a model for a new comic book hero.
Yeah? Which one?
Oh, isn't that great? Well, that's going to do it for this video. And what I tell you, was that a weird episode or what? Oh, I think my wife's finally here to pick me up. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. It's about time. Man, what took you so long? Oh God! No! No!